All right, so get this. We're stepping into Vatican City. We're doing a deep dive into its history and all the controversies surrounding it. It's a place that seems to have secrets lurking around every corner, you know? The kind of secrets that make you go, wait, what?
It really is a fascinating mix of faith, power, and secrecy, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's no wonder the Vatican attracts so much speculation.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're looking at this YouTube video called Dark Secrets of Vatican City Forbidden History. It's from the J History Channel, and let me tell you, it is jam-packed with conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah, it throws out a lot of allegations.
Right.
But to really understand them, we need to look at the historical context, right?
For sure. So where do we even begin with a place like the Vatican?
Well, how about we start with those infamous Vatican secret archives?
Yeah, just the name itself sounds like something out of a Dan Brown novel.
Right, like it's this vault filled with dusty old documents holding all these explosive truths.
Exactly. So what's the deal with these secret archives? Are they really as secretive as they sound?
Well, the official name is actually the Vatican Apostolic Archive. And while it does house a ton of documents, including papal correspondence and all sorts of historical records, the secret part just means private.
Okay, so maybe not a vault of hidden scandals, but still. Private archives belonging to one of the most powerful institutions in the world. I can see why people's imaginations run wild.
Absolutely. And that brings us to one of the biggest controversies swirling around the Vatican, its relationship with Nazi Germany during World War II. You know, the video claims there were these close links, even suggesting collaboration.
Now, that's a serious accusation. What's the historical context here?
So Pope Pius XII, who led the Catholic Church during the war, maintained a neutral position. But critics say he was basically appeasing the Nazis, by not speaking out more forcefully against their actions.
So they're saying his silence made him complicit.
Exactly. Some historians even argue that Pius XII's silence allowed the Holocaust to happen on a larger scale.
But wait, the video also talked about this Bishop Alois Hudal. He was based in Rome and helped Nazis escape to Argentina after the war. They even showed letters from a Nazi war criminal asking for Hudal's help. That doesn't sound very neutral.
No, it doesn't. Hudal's actions are definitely pretty damning. But the question is, was he acting alone or was he taking quarters? Did his superiors know what was going on?
Right. Was he a rogue agent or was there something more going on?
Exactly. Those are the questions historians are still debating.
So is there a chance that Pius XII knew about Hudal's activities and just looked the other way?
It's possible. And to try and answer that question, Pope Francis actually opened the Pius XII wartime archives 9 years early.
Whoa, I had no idea. So researchers are actually looking through those documents right now.
They are, hoping to shed light on what the Vatican was really doing during that time.
Wow, those archives could rewrite history, huh?
They definitely have the potential.
Mhm.
But even with more access, we got to remember that history is rarely black and white.
That's for sure. Okay, well, speaking of complexities, the video also dives into another controversial aspect of the Vatican, its finances. Specifically, the Vatican Bank, officially called the Institute for the Works of Religion.
Ah, yes, the Vatican Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, its purpose is to manage the church's finances and support their charitable works, globally. But here's the thing. It has an estimated $5 billion in assets.
5 billion. Yeah, it's no wonder it attracts accusations of corruption. I mean, imagine managing a bank with that much money and shrouded in secrecy.
Well, it definitely raises eyebrows. And the lack of transparency has fueled all sorts of speculation, linking it to money laundering, organized crime, you name it.
Yeah, the video really went there, especially when discussing the sudden death of Pope John Paul I in 1978. I mean, the guy was only Pope for 33 days.
Right, and while the official cause of death was a heart attack, the video suggests it was actually assassination.
Hold on. They think he was murdered.
According to the video, yeah. The theory is that John Paul I was about to expose corruption within the Vatican Bank, and, well, he was silenced to protect those involved.
Okay, that sounds straight out of a spy movie. But do they have any evidence to support this claim?
Well, they point to this book called In God's Name. It lays out this whole conspiracy theory. And then there's the alleged confession of Anthony Raimondi.
Wait, who's that?
He was supposedly a mobster, and get this, a cousin of Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, the American head of the Vatican Bank at the time. Anyway, Raimondi claimed that he helped poison the Pope on Marcinkus's orders.
Whoa, that's a pretty big accusation. Did the Vatican ever respond to this?
Of course they denied it.
Yep.
And without access to John Paul I's private papers, which are sealed until 2048, it's hard to know what really happened.
So we're just left with more questions and speculation.
Pretty much. And this theme of financial intrigue continues with the story of Roberto Calvi, an Italian banker known as God's banker. He was super close to the Vatican Bank.
Ah, yes. The video described his death in 1982, right? Found hanged under Blackfriars Bridge in London. Was it suicide or was it murder? The video definitely implied foul play.
Yeah, it's a tangled story for sure. Calvi headed Banco Ambrosiano, which had ties to both the Vatican Bank and the Italian mafia.
Ooh, that's a dangerous combo. So where does the Vatican fit into all of this?
Well, the video presents evidence that Calvi was trying to blackmail some powerful figures before his death, like he knew too much about some shady dealings.
And the fact that the Vatican Bank later paid out over $200 million to Banco Ambrosiano's creditors definitely doesn't make them look innocent, does it? It almost feels like a cover-up.
It's definitely a possibility. When we look at the bigger picture, it's hard not to wonder if Calvi's death was meant to silence him, to protect the Vatican's secrets. But wait, there's more. The video goes from financial intrigue to, get this, the cosmos. It talks about the Vatican Observatory.
But the Vatican has a telescope. Now, that's not what I expected. And of course, the conspiracy theorists are out there claiming they're looking for aliens, right?
Not quite. The video explains that the Vatican has been into astronomy for centuries, going back to the 16th century when they needed to calculate the calendar. And today, their main observatory is actually in Arizona. It's got this state-of-the-art telescope.
So they're not searching for ET, then what are they looking at?
Mostly mainstream astronomical research, studying asteroids, comets, all those things. They're even looking for potential threats to Earth.
Wait, asteroids. So the Vatican is trying to prevent a real-life Armageddon situation. That's pretty cool, actually.
It is, isn't it? And speaking of challenging assumptions, the video also touches on the Vatican's stance on something pretty wild: extraterrestrial life.
Oh, here we go. What does the church have to say about aliens?
Well, you might be surprised to hear that they're actually pretty open to the possibility of life beyond Earth. They've even had a whole conference on it.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah.
But wouldn't discovering aliens completely upend our understanding of, well, everything? Creation, God's role in the universe.
Oh, definitely raised some major theological questions. But it seems like the Vatican is approaching it with a sense of curiosity, suggesting that their faith and the possibility of aliens aren't necessarily at odds.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. So they're acknowledging that God's creation could be way more vast and diverse than we thought.
Exactly. And it shows a willingness to engage with scientific discoveries, even when they challenge traditional beliefs.
Wow. This deep dive is already more than I expected. We've gone from secret archives and wartime accusations to financial scandals and the search for extraterrestrial life. It's like an episode of The X-Files.
And we're just getting started. It seems the Vatican, despite all its ancient traditions, is a place full of mystery and intrigue.
It really is. Okay, listener, before we go any further, we want to hear from you. What stood out to you so far? What surprised you the most about this deep dive into the Vatican? Think about it, because we'll be right back to explore even more. You know what's crazy to think about? That the Vatican is involved in searching for rogue asteroids.
Right. It just goes to show you that even institutions as old as the Catholic Church are dealing with modern scientific issues.
It really does put things in perspective. It makes you wonder, like, what would happen if we found an asteroid headed straight for Earth?
I mean, would the Vatican just offer up a prayer? Or would they actually try to figure out how to stop it?
Yeah, would they get involved in trying to save the world?
Well, considering they're involved with that Vatican Observatory and all, and they're focused on protecting the planet, I'd say they'd probably be right in the thick of it, trying to find a solution.
Probably, yeah. Okay, can we go back to the aliens for a sec? I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that the Vatican is open to the idea of extraterrestrial life. It seems kind of contradictory to what we usually think of when it comes to organized religion.
It's definitely a change, that's for sure. Makes you think, what would happen if we actually made contact with aliens? Like, intelligent ones. How would the Vatican deal with that?
Right. Like, would aliens have souls? Would they need saving? Would we need to rewrite the whole Bible?
Now, those are some heavy questions.
Yeah.
It would definitely shake things up a bit. This isn't the first time the church has had to grapple with science.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it was a Jesuit priest, Georges Lemaitre, who came up with the Big Bang Theory back in the 1920s.
Seriously, I never knew that. That's wild.
Right. It really challenges that idea that the church is always anti-science.
Totally. It makes you wonder what other scientific stuff they're involved in that we don't even know about. Maybe time travel, teleportation.
Uh-huh. Now, that's a whole other conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But really, though, it shows that even the most traditional institutions can evolve. They adapt to new information and embrace discoveries, even when those discoveries go against what they've always believed.
True. But let's be real, as interesting as all this science stuff is, we can't ignore all those serious controversies surrounding the Vatican.
You're right. Those accusations of financial wrongdoing, those whispers of cover-ups, all those mysterious deaths connected to the Vatican Bank, it's a lot to just sweep under the rug.
And the video really focused on that bank, the Vatican Bank, as the root of all the intrigue and suspicion. It's like a real-life Da Vinci Code, but instead of ancient symbols, it's all about the money.
I get it. It's easy to be suspicious. That bank, with all its secret operations and crazy wealth, it's a prime target for speculation, especially when you consider how little transparency and accountability there is.
And those deaths we talked about, Pope John Paul I and Roberto Calvi, both tied to the Vatican Bank, it just adds to the whole mystery. It's really hard not to connect the dots.
It's true, but it's also important to remember that these are just allegations, not proven facts. But the fact that the Vatican is so secretive makes it really tough to separate truth from fiction. It creates this void where rumors and conspiracy theories can thrive.
Oh, and speaking of secrets, those Vatican secret archives, it's like this giant locked box with just little hints of what might be inside.
Miles and miles of shelves packed with centuries-old documents, and so many of them are off-limits to the public. It's a historian's dream, but also a conspiracy theorist's playground.
I know, it's like, what could be in there? Lost Gospels, proof of aliens, secret societies. My imagination's going wild.
The video definitely made it seem like those archives are hiding some big, explosive truth that the Vatican is desperate to keep under wraps. And the fact that they won't let anyone see those documents for decades after a pope dies, well, it only adds to the mystery.
It's like they're saying, we'll tell you the truth eventually, but not now. What are they so afraid of?
The Vatican would say it's just standard procedure,
Hmm.
to protect sensitive information and all that. But yeah, it's hard not to wonder, right? Like, how would history look different if those documents were public? What controversies could be put to rest? Or maybe even ignited?
It makes you think about how history is often written by the winners, or at least by those in power, and the Vatican has held a lot of power over the years.
Absolutely. And this whole deep dive has shown us that even though the Vatican is trying to seem more modern and transparent, it's still shrouded in secrecy and dealing with some heavy accusations.
So, listener, as we head into the final part of our little Vatican adventure, we want you to think about this. How do you see the Vatican now? Is it a force for good, a symbol of power, a source of never-ending intrigue? Or maybe all of the above? Welcome back, listener. It's been quite the trip exploring the world of Vatican City, hasn't it? From asteroid hunting to those secret archives, we've uncovered some pretty fascinating stuff.
We really have. And all those controversies swirling around the Vatican, it really makes you think, huh?
Right, like before the break, we were talking about those Vatican secret archives.
Yeah, those archives, they really spark people's imaginations.
Well, I mean, everyone wants to know what's hidden in there, right?
Exactly. And that kind of overshadows some of the efforts the Vatican has made to be more open. Like we mentioned earlier, Pope Francis went ahead and opened the Pius XII wartime archives early.
True, but even with those archives open, it's not like we're going to find some smoking gun that settles everything about Pius XII. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. History's complicated, especially when you're dealing with an institution like the Vatican. There are so many layers.
Exactly. So we got to look at everything, right? The context, the different points of view, the motivations. We got to think critically.
Absolutely. It's like we've been saying throughout this whole deep dive, things are rarely as simple as they seem.
So we shouldn't just blindly accept everything we see in that video.
Right, we got to question our assumptions, consider different perspectives, look for real evidence.
It's like we're detectives trying to solve a historical puzzle, except the pieces are scattered across centuries.
And that's what makes it so interesting. The Vatican, with all its grandeur and secrecy, just draws you in, makes you want to learn more.
So, listener, what do you take away from all of this? What does this deep dive into the Vatican mean for you?
I think, more than anything, it highlights how important it is to be curious, but also to be informed. The Vatican might be full of mysteries and controversies, but it's also like a snapshot of human history. It reflects our struggle to understand our place in the world.
It really does. It's a place where spirituality and power collide, where ancient traditions meet modern-day challenges, and where the pursuit of knowledge, whether scientific or religious, continues to shape how we see ourselves in the universe.
I think that's beautifully put. And, maybe the most important lesson here is that there will always be mysteries out there, questions to ponder, secrets waiting to be uncovered. The Vatican is a reminder that searching for the truth is a journey, not a destination.
So well said. And as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you, listener. How has this changed your view of the Vatican? Do you see it differently now? What questions are still swirling around in your head? The answers, like the secrets of the Vatican itself, are out there just waiting to be discovered.